chapter started back in 2005, and it's been really, really cool to see it grow and change so much, and just over that time period see this country's attitude towards marijuana legalization change, and Texas as well. So I mean, back in the day it was kind of like the small group of people with a crazy dream, but now it's it's a thing that's going to happen soon, you know, that we've worked toward, and so it's just really cool to see that. We have a couple handouts. There's your medical cannabis one is 3 pages, and it's kind of some talking points and myths and rebuttals. The civil penalties, there's some talking points, and then there's a couple of things specifically about meeting your representative. We've got this advocate worksheet, so we'll fill that out. And there's some do's and don'ts to visit your representative's and senator's office. So the reason that we have to go, you know, talk to our senators and our representatives is because that's the only way that we're going to change laws in Texas. The only way to pass a law is for a member of the legislature to introduce it, and it gets voted on, and then it passes and signed by the governor. So we can't just have a petition or something like that. So that's the process. You know, I think it's designed to be complicated, so we have to work a little harder to make things happen. And it's crazy because there's so much support in Texas for marijuana legalization. I mean, for legalization as a whole, but especially for medical uses. And you know, the legislature just kind of like taking baby steps. So it's really important that we meet with all of our representatives and we talk to people from, you know, from all across the state and the Metroplex. This Dallas-Fort Worth area covers a lot of different representatives. So if we each go out there and talk to ours, then they're all hearing from all of us, and they know, you know, how seriously the Texans are taking this issue. And so, you know, you can send an email, you can call, but the most effective thing you can do is go talk to them in person and have a face-to-face meeting. And I think that, you know, for every one person that's going into the office and talking to them, they know there's hundreds more that feel that way. It's not as scary as you think if you've never done it. I know it can be kind of intimidating, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. And sometimes you're just talking to your representatives, like maybe their aides, not themselves. It kind of depends. If you have someone who's newer, like my representative is Craig Goldman. He's only been representative for a couple of years, so we actually got a meeting with him face to face. But sometimes when they're in there a long time, you're just meeting with their aides. But that's still incredibly powerful. And kind of an aside on that, a lot of times these people, the staffers, I mean, they're younger and they're, you know, politically oriented, and sometimes their personal beliefs are very in line with what we're trying to do. Last year we went to the Capitol in Texas, and we would want to talk to somebody and he would kind of blow us off, but their staffer was like, hey, you know, give me your handouts, I'm going to talk to him, I'm personally in support of you guys. So that's a very good relationship to develop there as well, because, you know, they're in their ear. So the first thing we're going to do is find out who represents you. Probably we all have our phones here. It's really easy. If you just Google, I Googled who, I mean, I've done it so many times, it's right here on my phone, but who represents me or who represents me Texas, it's going to take you to this website. The actual website is www.fyi.legis.state.tx.us. But, so that should be like the first thing that comes up if you Google who represents me, Texas. So go ahead and do that. And then you can fill in your address. I think you can do it by zip code too, but it's going to show you everyone in your zip code. That's not necessarily, it's going to show multiple people. So go ahead and put in your address. Okay, and it tells you everyone who's your representative. So let's see, I'm going to take my worksheet here. Just fill it out. So maybe you don't know before now, maybe you know but you've never contacted this person before. So you guys, like I said, Craig Goldman is my rep, and then Kay Granger is my congressperson. So, I mean, is my senator. Oh, okay, thank you.
Can you give the website again?
Sure. Okay, it's www.fyi.legis, like legis, like the beginning of legislature, FYI.legis. Oh.
Mine's terrible.
I'll do it. Yeah, no, I have all the right penmanship. Thank you. He brings me a pen and I'm like saying it out loud to you guys. All right. Sit down so you guys kind of see that. And then you just fill it out, and it's going to tell you, it's going to tell you like your U.S. congressperson, it's going to tell you your Board of Education member, your U.S. senators, but so who you really want to focus on is your Texas representative and your Texas senator, because we're talking about basically the Texas fight today. So you can use this worksheet, you can fill out their office, address, phone number. Right now, they're going to be at home in their office. Like Craig Goldman is just right down the street from me. I just get on the highway for about 2 minutes and he's right there. So this is a really good time to visit them because they're at home. If you wait till the legislative session, that's definitely good too. And we have these lobby days where, last year we got on a couple of buses and took everybody to Austin. And that was just a cool experience because maybe you've been there, maybe you've seen the Capitol or even gone inside it, but we were actually going to these representatives' offices and talking to them, and that was just really cool to see, lawmaking in action. But then, it's a short session. It only happens every 2 years. Thousands of bills get introduced, so it's hard to really get their attention there in Austin. But if you start now when they're at home, and you start building that relationship with them, then when you get on a visit them on lobby day, they're like, oh yeah, that's Elisabeth. I've talked to her about marijuana legalization a couple of times already. So now's a really good time to do it. The next legislative session starts January 10th, 2017, and it goes to May 29th. And I think I was looking at the numbers for the last session. It was like 12,000 bills were introduced, and like less than half of that, anything actually happens on them. So they just get a deluge of bills, and it's, like I said, it's every 2 years. It's just a very short period of time. It's crazy. A lot of stuff happens there. A lot of stuff has to get done. So really now, it's never too early. Now is the perfect time to talk to a representative. Elections are this November. They're November 8th, Tuesday, November 8th this year. So maybe your representative or your senator is going to maybe there'll be a new one after the fall. For me, mine have stayed the same for the last several years that I've been, trying to talk to them. Especially if they've been in there a while, you kind of know they're gonna stay the same. Usually the Republicans are going to be in there a while, so you're not, wasting your time by talking to them now. Okay, so have you guys? Does anybody have any of mine? Does anybody have Craig Goldman or Jane Nelson? Does this come far from home? Oh yeah, that's right. You do. You do. Yeah. She's tough to get a hold of. Definitely, I've made multiple requests to her office for a meeting, and it's kind of always stalled out. But Goldman is pretty approachable. So
she just does a certain district and then like cruise and just the whole state?
Right. There are representatives in the United States Congress. So yeah, so when you find on that website, we're just focusing on the Texas one. You're going to have one senator and one congressperson. So when you go to contact them, at their local office, you're going to call the number that's local, not the Austin number. They're not there right now. Just tell them, I say, hi, my name is Elisabeth Rodriguez. Usually they want to verify your address, make sure you're calling the right place. But just tell them, I'd like to have a meeting with the senator because I have some things I'd like to talk to her about marijuana legalization. And that just can be kind of scary. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm calling an elected official and saying the words marijuana legalization. But they don't even miss a beat. They're just like, okay, where do you live? And what exactly do you want to talk to her about? And, I've said I want to talk about medical marijuana and, children suffering from medical conditions who need medical cannabis. And she's asked, like, okay, well, are you a parent? Are you a medical marijuana patient yourself? Which, I'm not. But so they had kind of these follow-up questions that made me think that, lots of people have been calling and talking about it. And then sometimes you'll get a scheduler. They'll be like, okay, so-and-so's the scheduler. They'll call you back, but they're not going to grill you like, why? Why do you want to come talk about marijuana? That's an illegal drug. What's your address again? They're not going to come after you. I think that was like the scariest thing for me. I was like, if I'm going to put myself out there and my name and my address and phone number and that I'm talking about marijuana, like, am I going to get a visit from the cops? But the answer is no. I don't know anyone that's ever had anything like that happen to them. It just doesn't happen. They're not going to do it. So for me, that was like scary thing number one. So yeah, just call and ask if you can make an appointment. appointment, sometimes they'll get an email, you don't want to harass them, but be persistent. A couple of phone calls, a couple emails, just keep following up. Let them know, whenever she has an availability, I'd like to come in and meet, I'm pretty flexible. Or let's say you work and you're like, I could take off some time in the morning, so these mornings are better for me. But once you get it scheduled, then you want to start preparing for your meeting. So this sheet can help you with that also. So we have like a note section on here. I think one of the best things to do is research your representative. What are the issues that are important to them? You can go on the Texas State Legislature website and find out like what bills they've passed or what bills they've supported. Is it veterans issues? Is it children's issues? There's just so many things. They kind of have a focus on what they want to work on. So find out what's important to them and you can connect with them in that way. Anything from maybe you went to the same college. There's lots of ways you can connect with these people, and they're just people, and they love the legislative process, and they don't get paid a lot of money to do this, but they do it for the love of government and lawmaking in Texas. So you can definitely connect with them on a human level. We have a place for you to write down when you go ahead and have that appointment with them. And we have a space for personal introductions. This is roots in the community, personal experience, primary reason for advocacy. Just talk about who you are. Maybe you've been active in your church for 20 years. Maybe you're a parent. I'm a parent. I talk about that. Maybe you're a student. Maybe you're a business owner. I'm a student. I'm in law school. I'm in my second year of law school at Texas A&M School of Law in Fort Worth. So, I've lived in Texas my whole life. There's just plenty of things, to present yourself. This is why I'm here. This is why I care about Texas laws. And then we have a space for top 3 points of discussion. Choose the 3 most important points you'd like to make during your meeting. I think you can talk about a lot of things, but you want to have kind of a narrow focus. And we have some more examples of things that we can talk about in these meetings. But it's okay to take notes on here and to bring in your notes. Maybe you know it cold when you're talking to your friends or your family about legalization, but once you get in there, in front of your senator, it's a little scary. You kind of figure what you're talking about. It's fine to bring in your notes and to make sure you make the points that you want to make. So I think some people have come in since I started. This is the website where you can find out who represents you. You can just go in there, put in your address. It's going to tell you a bunch of different people. It's going to tell you your U.S. congressman and everything, what you're looking for, your Texas senator and your Texas House of Representatives member. So that will tell you who they are. And you're going to look for their local contact information because they're not in Austin right now. They won't be there until the beginning of next year. Okay. I guess at this point, does anyone have any questions about finding your rep or setting up a meeting or how to go about setting up a meeting or anything like that? I want to make sure it's kind of open to,
Have you ever had a confrontational representative or somebody that was like asking vigorous questions in a way that you couldn't respond in a,
Yeah, that's a good
manner?
question. I haven't personally in any one-on-one meetings. When we did lobby day, you could tell that there were people that didn't really care, they didn't really want to hear it, and so they were just kind of trying to get you out of the office, like, okay, well, yes, thank you for this information, yes, this issue is important to me, and I'm very busy, goodbye. But no, I've never had a personal experience or heard from anyone else that they've had an experience where someone was like, attacking them or saying, no, you're wrong, this is a really bad idea. And they'll say things like, well, hey, we have to be tough on crime. We can't let the kids be doing drugs. You can tell them, well, actually in Colorado, where it's been legal for adult, responsible use, teen use of marijuana has actually gone down. So there's these kind of statistics you can arm yourself with that when you hear these old, scare tactics, think of the children, or, there's always some kind of things you can say, because, they don't want to seem soft on crime, but maybe, maybe you're soft on crime if you're arresting marijuana users and, murderers and rapists are just running around out there not getting arrested. Mm-hmm.
They'll also say that they've heard the information that you're giving them or presenting them before, so that presents you with a kind of a chance to quiz them on it, and how good they actually know that knowledge.
Yeah.
If they're just kind of BSing you and trying to get you out of the office, or if they've actually had that information before, and if they've had, then that's your chance to, back it up to pound it home.
Yeah, if you don't hold your foot or something like that, you would usually just walk out at that
Yeah,
point.
no, yeah, exactly. You build on that. You say, yeah, exactly, and this is the newest study or whatever, like she says, of quivers, the arrows in your quiver, the more knowledge you have, the better.
Yeah, appreciate it.
If it's your first time to go, there are people that will go with you if you don't want to.
Yeah,
Because I know
definitely.
Dan will visit a representative with you, and if you don't want to go alone the first time, you can
Okay, so
invite
you can,
people.
okay, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I have a general question about, I guess, this doesn't have to be answered here, but like the general efficacy as a strategy. With regard to other states, what role has confronting your representatives played? Or has there been equal pressure to change laws through industry or general population studies done by the government? And how does that fit in here?
You know, I don't know about that. I don't know exactly in other states. You know, every state's different. Some states you can put a bunch of signatures on a ballot and then, on a petition, and then there's like a ballot referendum and the state itself votes on it, which is not how it's set up here. So all states are kind of set up differently. But I think basically the only thing we have is you guys. You know, these passionate individuals who are willing to step up and say, okay, the law needs to change and here's why, and we need to get this done. Because we don't have millions of dollars. You know, we're not like the NRA or these huge lobbyist groups that they act with their money. You know, they donate millions of dollars to campaigns, and that's how they get the ear of the senator. We have us, and I think that is extremely powerful, and that's basically the only thing that we can do. Yeah, let's take a question about, you know, statistical studies. The last statistic I heard was like 80% of Texans support some marijuana reform, whether it's medical or recreational or decriminalization. So I just think they don't care about those numbers because they're, you know, you read them in news articles all the time. And I know from talking to people who've been visiting their representative for years and years and talking about like medical issues. I know a lot of people who it's kind of the medical patients that have been really passionate about it for as long as I've known them because it's like a life and death issue. But they've developed relationships with their representatives. They've definitely changed minds. And they've gotten honest feedback like, yes, I agree with you, and I think we should have medical marijuana, but I'm not going to get elected again. You know, if I support something that my constituents think we're just going to have, you know, a free-for-all, everybody smoking pot. So that's why it's going to take so many of us. So instead of thinking, well, I don't know if enough of my constituents support this for me to, you know, pass this bill, they're going to be saying, like, I can't afford not to. You know, I'm going to lose my job because all these people are coming to me and basically demanding change. Mm-hmm.
And sort of in regard to what he said, I went and visited my representative a while back, and I was the first person in her district she had ever spoken to about it, and she's on her third term, I think. And I asked her if she had heard about the Compassionate Use Act, and if she remembered like Team Alexis being there, you know, during the spring. She vaguely remembered that, but when I asked her how she voted, she said she voted against it. And I asked her, you know, what she based that on, and she said she basically voted her conscience and she didn't agree with it. So if we don't go talk to them and they don't agree, they're always going to vote their conscience, always.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the handouts is visiting your representative and senator's office. So we kind of have like, you know, some basics, some do's and don'ts. You want to dress professionally as though you're going to church or an interview for an office job. You know, arrive 5 to 10 minutes early. Basically, I mean, something, I'm just wearing like black slacks and a blazer, you know, something like this that I think I purchased like all of it at the mall. You know, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. You can even find business casual suits and things like at thrift stores. But, you know, I think it's important to, just clean up your appearance. You know, I always hate to say cover tattoos, and that just sounds so like old and stodgy. But I mean, I do, and you know, this summer I spent some time in the courthouse, you know, because I'm trained to be a lawyer, and so I've worn like long sleeve shirts just to cover, you know, just kind of to look. I mean, these are like old white guys. You know, they're not like, I don't really think of them as being like really cool and like open-minded. So yeah, just kind of look the part. Have your talking points and notes prepared, like, you know, something like this with your notes on it. It's just a go by. You don't have to use it, but if it helps you, use it. And, you know, just jot down notes. Things that I like to write down are like exact statistics, something I'm not necessarily going to remember off the top of my head, or something like I did preparing for this talk today, an outline, points I want to hit on, but I'm throwing on the floor. that, you know, I know what I'm gonna say in between, but just to remind me not to miss something.
Elizabeth,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, I see some more people coming in. We prepared this other room down here, it's bigger and a little bit cooler. Y'all mind taking like 2 minutes to move down to this other room?
Yes.
Do it.
Let's do
That would be great.
Put out some table chairs.